Today in our Founder Fuel series, we'll talk about how I go about building a list of target investors using Crunchbase to facilitate intelligent investor outreach. At Marion Street Capital, we only focus on investors that are relevant, meaning they focus on the stage of the company, um, the amount of capital that the company needs, um, and investors that are ready, meaning that they have dry powder to invest. We're not going to reach out to funds where it's too early or too late because the company needs capital now. Later on in the series, we'll discuss more about how we prioritize these targets and strategize outreach, and also how we automate this process so we only focus on high value activities like actually having conversations, getting deeper into diligence, and ultimately closing rounds. So today we'll look at Crunchbase, how we actually identify investors, and I will dive in other videos in the series into other tools on how we accomplish some of our other goals. LinkedIn to identify our connection paths, a contact research tool like Seamless AI to actually get contact information, and then other ways to personalize and automate and track our outreach. And today, the example that we'll actually walk through in Crunchbase is currently on the Insights tab of our website, our New York 2025 Venture Capital Industry Report, New York City VCs that currently have dry powder. We have a whole article here, a cool interactive map, and a way that you can actually download the list of 144 funds across 77 unique firms. So we'll dive into Crunchbase here in a second. So here we are in Crunchbase. They did recently update their UI to look more like a ChatGPT or Claude. But for funding, there are other more expensive options out there to source fund information and investor information like Preqin and PitchBook for private markets. I'm using the pro version of Crunchbase, which is much, much cheaper. We feel we can get enough relevant information from this. And we're looking at this process for lean, innovative growth companies. So I do like Crunchbase for this. And Crunchbase is a bit interesting. If I do just ask it, give me a list of all VCs that lead Series A rounds and are based in New York City, you're going to see it's not quite going to give us, it's going to give us something, but it's not going to give us something that's fully, I guess, relevant and actionable. You see it came up with something here, over 999 results. Let's see what it gives us here. So Series A, Venture Capital, New York. See, it gives us 1,046 results, which is a lot. And is frankly too much for most of our efforts. It's going to be difficult to focus here. So there are other columns we can add here. We have number of investments, number of exits, which is interesting. But what I'm most interested in is when did each of these organizations raise their last fund, and how large is that fund? Because then we can determine, hey, is this investor ready or not? And how relevant are they? You can see there's no obvious way to find fund information. If I type in so Crunchbase is a bit confusing, but if you do fund investments, it's going to be these firms investing in other funds. So we have to go back and kind of do this a different way, and you'll see how it's a bit hidden. So I'm just going to use Andreessen Horowitz as an example. You'll go to financials, you'll go to the number of funds. Now we can kind of see something more of what we're looking for. These are actual funds within the investors that we were just looking at. And we'll want to go back and add the filters we were just looking at. New York, focus, stage, early stage venture, which includes Series A, and then we will also want to look at the date they announced their fund. Hold on, seems like a glitch. Oops, yeah, it might be in this. Yeah, oops, it's in. So we have announced date. We'll go after 24 months ago, which is after September of 2023. Actually, I put this investor section in the wrong area. It should be under the fund owner section. Yeah, investor details should be early stage venture up here. So you can see we have 163 total results, which is a pretty good number. And then the last filter I might want to add here is the amount of capital raised in the fund. Let's just use an example. If we're looking for a lead for a Series A round, that would be at least a few $1,000,000. So let's say we want funds above 50 million. Right, so we have 98 results here, which is much more palatable than 1,100. We have funds that are recent. We have the specific name of the fund, which we might want to go through manually and kind of eliminate some later. But I'm just going to clean up some columns here. Number of investors we can add. Amount of capital raised. And again, this doesn't focus on any specific industry. If you want to add like software and stuff like that, that would be relevant. But you can see we have 98 funds here, and that's a great kind of way to focus your efforts and get data similar to the data you would get from a pitch book or a pre-quin at the cost of Crunchbase, which is much cheaper.